The night I hired a stranger to be my fake date, I never imagined he'd end up becoming my real husband. Olivia's voice was soft as she looked into the camera, her hand resting on Ethan's. Sometimes life's greatest gifts come disguised as something else entirely. She smiled as their daughter ran into frame, Ethan scooping her up with practiced ease. If you're struggling to believe that second chances exist, stay with us. Our story might just restore your faith in the unexpected. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Your support helps us share more stories about finding love in the most unlikely places. Olivia Hayes stared at the embossed invitation on her kitchen counter as if it might spontaneously combust. The elegant cream cardstock mocked her with its flowing script. You are cordially invited to celebrate the engagement of Catherine Hayes and William Thornton. Saturday, the 15th of June. 7 o'clock in the evening. The Grand Ballroom, Westfield Hotel. Her younger sister was marrying her ex-boyfriend. And she was expected to attend. Alone. At 32, Olivia had built a successful career as a children's book illustrator, transforming her childhood passion for art into a life she genuinely loved. She had a cozy apartment, close friends, and enough commissioned work to keep her comfortably busy. What she didn't have was a date for her sister's engagement party, a fact her mother had pointed out with increasing frequency over the past 3 weeks. "Sweetheart, I'm just worried about you," her mother had said during their last phone call. "It's been 2 years since William. Catherine would understand if it's too difficult for you to come." But Olivia knew better. Her absence would only fuel the family narrative that had followed her since childhood, Olivia, the fragile one. Olivia, who needed protection. Olivia, who couldn't handle life's disappointments. She picked up her phone and opened the dating app she'd downloaded in a moment of desperation last week. The parade of faces blurred together, none inspiring anything beyond mild curiosity. She wasn't ready for dating, not really. What she needed was a shield, someone to help her survive one excruciating evening with her dignity intact. Her finger hovered over the delete button when a new notification appeared. *Rent-a-date, need a +1 for a special event? Our professional companions provide stress-free companionship with no strings attached, *. Olivia stared at the ad, an idea taking shape. A professional date. Someone who would know exactly how to navigate awkward family dynamics. Someone who would disappear afterward, no messy emotions involved. Before she could talk herself out of it, she clicked the link. Ethan Cole adjusted his tie in the rearview mirror of his modest sedan, mentally reviewing what he knew about tonight's client. Olivia Hayes, 32, children's book illustrator. Needed a date for her sister's engagement party. The sister was marrying Olivia's ex-boyfriend. Complicated family dynamics expected. He checked his watch, a simple Timex, not the Patek Philippe gathering dust in his safe at home. For tonight, he wasn't Ethan Cole, 38-year-old CEO of Cole Enterprises, the tech company he'd built from nothing into a billion-dollar corporation. Tonight, he was just Ethan, a single dad who picked up occasional rent-a-date gigs to meet new people. His friends thought he was insane. You could buy the entire dating service, his CFO had pointed out when Ethan explained his unusual hobby. But that was precisely why Ethan valued these evenings. For a few hours, people responded to him as a person, not a portfolio. No one laughed too hard at his jokes or agreed too quickly with his opinions. No one researched his net worth before the appetizers arrived. And the cover story wasn't entirely false. He was a single dad, his daughter Sophie was the center of his universe, the reason he'd scaled back his 70-hour workweeks after her mother walked out 6 years ago, unable to reconcile herself to life as a CEO's wife. His phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Winters, Sophie's beloved nanny. "Sophie wants to know if you'll be home to read her a story before bed." "Tell her I'll be there," he replied. "Save the next chapter of The Secret Garden for me." With one last glance in the mirror, Ethan stepped out of his car and approached the address Olivia had provided, a charming brownstone in a quiet neighborhood. Nothing ostentatious, but tasteful and well-maintained. He appreciated that she hadn't suggested meeting at the event itself. It gave them time to establish their story and boundaries. He rang the doorbell, curious about the woman who'd rather hire a stranger than face her family alone. Olivia checked her appearance one last time. The emerald green dress was new, purchased specifically for tonight, a splurge that had felt like armor. Her auburn hair fell in soft waves past her shoulders, and she'd taken extra care with her makeup, aiming for elegant rather than her usual minimal approach. The doorbell rang, sending a flutter of anxiety through her chest. This was madness. She was actually hiring a man to pretend to be her date. What had happened to the sensible, practical woman she'd always prided herself on being? Taking a deep breath, she opened the door. The man standing on her doorstep was not what she'd expected. The website had shown attractive, polished men in tuxedos with practiced smiles. This man was different. Tall and broad-shouldered in a well-cut but not designer suit, with dark hair that curled slightly at the temples and laugh lines around his eyes. He looked more like a high school English teacher than a professional escort. "Olivia?" he asked, his voice deep and surprisingly gentle. "I'm Ethan. Your date for the evening." She realized she was staring and quickly extended her hand. "Yes, hello. Please come in. We have about 30 minutes before we need to leave." He followed her into the living room, his gaze taking in the space with genuine interest. She watched as he paused at her bookshelf, then at the framed illustrations on the wall, her first published work. "These are wonderful," he said, studying a watercolor of a little girl and a fox having a tea party under a willow tree. "You're very talented." "Thank you." She was surprised by his sincerity. "They're from a book called Whispers in the Willow. It was my first major project." "My daughter would love these," he said, then seemed to catch himself. "Sorry, I should have mentioned. I'm a single father. Sophie is 8. Olivia blinked. "The agency sends single parents as dates?" He smiled, and something about it transformed his face, making him suddenly, disarmingly attractive. "I'm not a full-time employee. I do this occasionally, when my schedule allows and the assignment interests me." "And an awkward family engagement party interested you?" "Let's say I have some experience with complicated family dynamics." He moved away from the illustrations. "Should we discuss the details for tonight? How we met, how long we've been dating, any topics to avoid?" His professionalism was reassuring. This was a business arrangement, nothing more. She could handle this. "I thought we could keep it simple. We met through mutual friends about 3 months ago." "You work in technology, which is vague enough that no one will ask too many questions." "We're still getting to know each other, so nothing too serious yet." Ethan nodded. "That works. Any family landmines I should be aware of?" Olivia sighed, sinking onto her sofa. "My sister Catherine is 2 years younger than me. She's always been the golden child, beautiful, sociable, perfect. I was the quiet one, the artist, the one everyone worried about. William and I dated for 3 years. He broke up with me 2 years ago, started dating Catherine 6 months later." Ouch. "The worst part is, they're actually perfect for each other. Catherine is a corporate lawyer, ambitious and driven, just like William. I was always too soft for him. Too focused on creativity rather than achievement." Ethan sat beside her, his expression thoughtful. "You don't sound bitter." "I'm not really. I'm just tired of being the family charity case. My mother calls twice a week to check on me, as if William breaking up with me might have sent me into a spiral of depression. My father still offers to have a talk with William, even though I've told him repeatedly I'm fine." "And are you fine?" The question, asked without judgment or expectation, caught her off guard. "I'm getting there. I've built a good life. I love my work. I just want my family to see that I'm whole without William, without a relationship. I want them to be proud of me for who I am, not worried about me for who I'm not. Ethan's eyes, a warm hazel she noticed for the first time, held hers. Then that's what we'll show them tonight. Something about his quiet confidence steadied her. For the first time since receiving the invitation, Olivia felt like she might actually survive the evening. The Westfield Hotel's grand ballroom was a symphony of crystal chandeliers and white roses, the space transformed for Catherine and William's celebration. Olivia gripped Ethan's arm as they entered, grateful for his solid presence beside her. "Deep breath," he murmured, his hand covering hers. "Remember, you're not alone tonight." She nodded, scanning the room for familiar faces. Her parents were near the bar, her mother elegant in navy blue, her father looking uncomfortable in his tuxedo. Catherine and William stood in the center of an admiring circle, her sister radiant in white, William every inch the successful investment banker in his tailored suit. "Olivia." Her mother spotted her, waving enthusiastically. "Over here, darling." Ethan guided her through the crowd, his hand a reassuring pressure against the small of her back. As they approached her parents, Olivia felt him shift subtly, his posture becoming more attentive, his smile warming. "Mom, Dad, this is Ethan," she said, amazed at how steady her voice sounded. "Ethan, my parents, Margaret and Robert Hayes." "It's a pleasure to meet you both," Ethan said, shaking her father's hand firmly and accepting her mother's enthusiastic embrace with easy grace. "Olivia speaks so highly of you." "We had no idea Olivia was seeing someone," her mother said, delight and relief evident in her voice. "She's been so secretive lately." "I wouldn't call it secretive, Mom," Olivia countered. "Just private." "Olivia likes to be sure about things before she shares them," Ethan said, his arm slipping around her waist in a gesture that felt surprisingly natural. "It's one of the qualities I admire most about her." Her father studied Ethan with undisguised curiosity. "Olivia mentioned you work in technology?" "Yes, sir. Software development." "And how did you two meet?" Olivia never mentioned. "Through friends," Olivia interjected quickly. "At a gallery opening." "Olivia's artwork caught my attention before she did," Ethan added smoothly. "I was captivated by her illustrations, then discovered the artist was even more fascinating than her work." Her mother beamed. "How lovely. And do you have children, Ethan?" "Olivia has always wanted." "Mom," Olivia warned. "I have a daughter," Ethan said, his expression softening. "Sophie. She's 8 and already showing signs of her mother's artistic talent." "You're divorced?" her father asked bluntly. "Dad." "It's all right," Ethan assured her. "Yes, Mr. Hayes. Sophie's mother and I parted ways 6 years ago. We share custody, though Sophie lives primarily with me." Something in the way he spoke about his daughter, with such evident love and pride, made Olivia look at him with new interest. This detail hadn't been in his profile. Was it part of his character for the evening, or was Ethan actually a single father? Before she could ponder this further, a familiar voice called her name. Catherine was approaching, William beside her, both smiling broadly. "You came." Catherine embraced her tightly. "And who is this?" The moment Olivia had been dreading had arrived. She took a steadying breath. "Catherine, William, this is Ethan. My boyfriend." William extended his hand, his expression a mixture of surprise and what looked almost like relief. "Great to meet you, Ethan. Olivia deserves someone special." There was no malice in his words, only sincerity, and Olivia felt a knot of tension she'd carried for 2 years begin to loosen. Perhaps tonight wouldn't be the ordeal she'd feared. As the evening progressed, Olivia found herself relaxing into her role as Ethan's date. He was attentive without being possessive, charming without being overbearing, and somehow managed to deflect the more intrusive questions from relatives with humor and tact. "Your boyfriend is wonderful," her cousin Melissa whispered during a trip to the ladies' room. "The way he looks at you, like you're the only person in the room." Olivia felt a flush rise to her cheeks. "We're still getting to know each other." "Well, don't let this one get away. Single dads are a catch, they already know how to commit." As she returned to the ballroom, Olivia spotted Ethan in conversation with her father and William, all three laughing about something. The sight was surreal, her fake date bonding with her ex-boyfriend at her sister's engagement party. Yet somehow, Ethan had transformed what should have been an excruciating evening into something almost enjoyable. When the band began playing a slow song, Ethan found her at the edge of the dance floor. "May I have this dance?" he asked, extending his hand. She placed her palm in his, allowing him to lead her onto the floor. His hand settled at her waist, warm and secure, as they began to move to the music. "You're very good at this," she murmured. "Dancing, charming my family, all of it. It's easy when I have such excellent material to work with," he replied. "Your family loves you, Olivia. They may not always show it in ways you appreciate, but the concern comes from love." "I know. I just wish they could see me as complete without a partner. Perhaps what they're really concerned about is your happiness, not your relationship status." She looked up at him, struck by the insight. "Are you happy? As a single parent?" Something flickered in his eyes, a momentary vulnerability that felt more real than anything else she'd seen from him tonight. "Sophie is the best thing that ever happened to me," he said. "Being her father brings me joy every day. But is my life complete? No. There are moments, reading alone at night, making decisions without someone to share the burden, watching Sophie hit milestones with only me to celebrate them, when the absence of a partner is noticeable." The honesty in his voice touched her. "Thank you for sharing that. And for being here tonight. You've made this so much easier than I expected." "The night's not over yet," he said with a smile. "Your aunt by the punch bowl has been eyeing me suspiciously for the past hour. I think she's about to demand my tax returns and a blood sample." Olivia laughed, leaning into him as they continued to dance. For a moment, she allowed herself to imagine this was real, that Ethan was actually her boyfriend, that the warmth in his eyes when he looked at her wasn't professional courtesy but genuine affection. It was a dangerous thought, one she quickly pushed away. Tonight was an illusion, a service she'd purchased. Tomorrow, Ethan would return to his life, and she to hers. But for now, in the soft light of the ballroom, with his arms around her, Olivia let herself enjoy the fantasy. The evening was winding down when Catherine cornered her near the dessert table. "Okay, spill," her sister demanded, eyes sparkling with champagne and curiosity. "Where have you been hiding Ethan? He's incredible." Olivia selected a chocolate-dipped strawberry, buying time. "We're still in the early stages. I didn't want to make a big announcement." "Early stages? The man looks at you like you hung the moon." Catherine leaned closer. "And he's gorgeous, successful, and clearly adores his daughter. If I weren't madly in love with William, I'd be jealous." The comment, delivered with Catherine's typical dramatic flair, still managed to sting. Her sister had always gotten everything Olivia wanted, often without even trying. "I'm happy for you and William," Olivia said, meaning it despite the complicated emotions swirling beneath the surface. "You two make sense together." Catherine's expression softened. "I've been worried about having this conversation all night. I know it's awkward, me marrying your ex. But seeing you with Ethan. I feel like maybe everything worked out the way it was supposed to."